Hey, writers. This is Richard Coman, newsletter editor for the Redwood Writers Club, and I'm talking to Marilyn Johnstone. And you are the
Hello.
editor of our new anthology. What's it called?
One universe to the left.
Awesome. And the way it's described is aliens, dragons, spirits, multiple types of wizardry, clones, both magical and technological. What might you find in a world different from ours? Come explore the possibilities in the 2023 Redwood Writers Prose Anthology, where this year's theme is speculative fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, and related flavors of the fantastic. So that sounds exciting.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff in it. I think it turned out pretty cool. At first, we weren't really sure if we'd get enough submissions because most of the Redwood Writers anthologies are more of a general theme, and not everyone writes science fiction and fantasy. And the first few submissions weren't that many, and we were like, oh no, okay, everyone can submit 2 entries, and that's good. And then we said, okay, how about we just open it up to all of the California Writers Club, all the branches? And in the end, we got tons of submissions, but that worked great because we got a really good book out of it.
So how many come from other clubs? How many from Redwood?
I think it was about an even split. I don't have the exact numbers, but yeah, it was a pretty good even spread.
Okay. And how's it, how does the mix come out versus, sci-fi, fantasy, or other flavors? What's the
It's
blend?
also pretty even between sci-fi and fantasy, but there's a couple others that don't really count as either. Like there's one dramatically superhero story, and there's one that's almost normal world but not quite, and there's a couple others that are slightly different one way or another. Some ghost stories and a lot of fun things. A couple that are like, okay, there's magic and technology in this together. It's always fun.
So, would you say that, or tell me about the judging process? How did these pieces get selected?
Yeah, it was all a very interesting process because I'd been involved in anthologies before, but this was the first time I got to just handle all of it. So the first thing is we got all the entries in, and then we had a team of judges read through all of them. Everyone read at least a few. I read all of them. It was it was a lot, and everyone judged them on a rubric for scoring for points for all kinds of things that just are good for seeing in number form how good a thing is, like whether there's enough character development or conflict, and whether they included a speculative element. And the cream of the crop made it in, and then I paired up all the authors with editors who worked with them to make the stories shine. And after that, it was just a matter of formatting and cover art and proofreading for all the tiny details that had somehow been missed before, because there's always something. And then we published it through Draft to Digital, which is a first for Redwood Writers, which is very exciting because it gives us a wider distribution than going directly through Amazon. So you can find it at physical bookstores, online stores, libraries, and an ebook. So next year is going to be run by someone else, but we're going to do the same thing and make it really widely available. So very
Drafted.
excited about that.
Okay. Is there a plan for another speculative fiction issue?
Probably at some point. We tended to figure out the theme just as it goes for each year, but this one turned out really well. So I imagine we'll do something like that again, which is very fun. And I should say that even if the theme is something very general, you can still submit speculative things if you want to. That I do that every year. Which is it's fun to come up with the challenge for it. Oh, let's see, the theme is endings and beginnings, time for a reincarnation story. Or okay, remember when, let me tell you youngins a story about how we used magic against an invading army and blew up half the mountain.
Right. So speculative writers should always feel free to submit to.
Always, yes.
Yeah. Cool. Um, so how can people get the book?
Any way they want to find books. It should be available everywhere. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any other online store, and physical bookstores can get it in too. So even if they don't have it on the shelf, just ask them to order it in and they can get it from their regular catalog. Same thing with libraries, it's available there. And if you have a ebook reading system, then yep, you can get it through there too. And it's even cheaper that way. How nice. Yeah, there's a lot of really fun stories in this one. It turned out really cool. Like the first one's kind of turns a familiar fairy tale into interesting direction. The one that the cover art is based on is about a person with a sword, a goal, and more appreciation for a good staircase sword fight than anyone else in the room. And the cat also plays an important role.
Oh, cats, definitely.
Yeah. The cats and little magical glowy gems are always good. That made a good cover art, I think. And lots
And
of good fun stuff all the way.
any other unusual takes on fantasy and sci-fi? You wanna...
There's a lot of good ones. The one that I mentioned that is in the world that's almost ours is called Their First Fight. And it's almost a normal world except for one tiny detail. And that plays a big factor in the character's marital dispute, which is very interesting to read. So a lot of things to think about in there. And I've got a story near the end that's about a wizard who clones himself, and surely that could never go wrong. So there's a lot of good stuff.
And wizardry. That's good.
Yes.
Are all the pieces explicit short fiction, or are any of them excerpts from longer books?
There are a few excerpts, yeah, and some of them make you go, I may need to look up the whole thing for this because that sounds really interesting.
Cool.
And yeah, they should say in there, particularly like, okay, this this is part of another book. I need to go look at that. So a lot of promising writing all around. It's good people doing good stuff. It's all very exciting.
That's exciting. That's great. Well, it's great talking to you, and I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah, great talking to you too. And everyone, go enjoy.
I'll buy it. Thanks.